1969, two trains collided. It was 7th of February 1969. Two trains collided. It was a passenger train and a goods train. So the passenger train, we're known as the Southern Aurora, collided head on with a freight train. It happened right here in Volatown, at this very crossing where I'm standing. That's where it occurred. It was a mass construction. There were 7 carriages of the passenger train of the Southern Aurora that got destroyed, and there were 8 people died, and 117 people survived on the train. That is the Southern Aurora that travelled from Melbourne to Sydney and back. Southern Aurora was the southbound, was heading south, heading a northbound goods train. It happened all the way here, right here. The McDermott's Lane, I think it's called McDermott's Road. That's where it happened, right here. Right here on the track, railway track, is the main track from Melbourne to Sydney. This is the one where the Southern Aurora travel, and also the Spirit of Progress train as well. So right here is where the Southern Aurora collided with the goods train. Right here. It was a catastrophe. You could hear a pin drop. Yeah. I remember it very well. Back in 1969, I was only about 9-year-old then. Might have been 8 or 9 years of age. I think it was 8 years of age on 7th of February, where this crash occurred right behind me of the Southern Aurora. It was a mass construction, really. It was like a circus. I remember that because my dad, he took me to here to have a look at the site, and I sincerely better remember there were carriages everywhere and lots of mass construction, and yeah, so it all occurred. What happened is that the train driver of the Southern Aurora, I believe, had a heart attack. That's what happened. When a driver has a heart attack, who's controlling the train? Yeah. So, bit of a misjudgment there. The train driver went to sleep and had a heart attack. That's it. That was the end of it. 2 engines. 2 engines were badly damaged. They were S-class engines. Yeah. I feel a sense of eerie right here of what happened. And here you can just hear a pin drop. Spirit tells the story. The Southern Aurora. Yes, I'm waiting for a train. Waiting for the Southern Aurora to come through. Unfortunately, it crashed. Here is the memorial information about the Southern Aurora right here at the crossing where it all happened. Yeah. 7th of February 1969, the train was involved in the Volatown Railway disaster when a southbound train, the Southern Aurora, collided head-on with a northbound freight train, resulting in 9 deaths. It collided with the Melbourne and Albury goods train in Volatown. 117 people were injured. The Southern Aurora ran from 1961 to 1993. The Southern Aurora rushed overnight from Sydney to Melbourne, return. From April 1962, the Southern Aurora surpassed the classy air-conditioned Melbourne to Albury Spirit of Progress, which operated from the 1930s under S-Class, steam-powered until replaced by diesels in the 1950s. This is one of the many trains we have in Australia, some of the famous trains like the Indian Pacific, Spirit of Progress, and here we have the Southern Aurora. And of course this train expressed all the way from Melbourne to Sydney. It was always back and forwards, but it never stopped at certain stations, but it never stopped here at Volatown at all whatsoever. So until the crash happened, well, this was the last stop of the Southern Aurora. So it was a wonderful train, one of the most luxurious trains, and of course this is the sleeping quarters where passengers had their good night rest, good night sleep overnight. Yeah, Southern Aurora, this is it. This is the remaining carriage, survived to this day. The Southern Aurora travelled on the newly opened standard gauge line as an overnight sleeper each day, and it was an express and it never stopped at Volatown station. During the 1960s, air travel became a major competitor for the intercapital travel. Right here at the Memorial Gardens here at Volatown, there are numerous pictures, murals of the train crash and lots of information and history. Not only the Southern Aurora, it's also the railway station and the town of Volatown itself. And of course there's lots of information. There's a shelter where you can refresh yourself, lots of gardens, And of course we have the Violet Town railway station, which is nearing up to 150 years old, and it will be celebrated in 2023 in March for a 150th birthday celebration. This is the remaining carriage survived today of the Southern Aurora. The Southern Aurora travelled on the newly opened standard gauge line. There was an overnight sleeper each day. And that's right behind me, the overnight sleep carriage that survived to this day. It was an express, and it never stopped right here at Violet Town at all until the accident occurred. Well, that was their last stop of the Southern Aurora, right here in Violet Town. I hope you enjoyed this episode on TREV'S Bushland Adventures, the Southern Aurora train crash. Now my next episode will be we're going to Lake Eildon Dam Weir. We're going to have a look at Lake Eildon and also Pinnacle Lookout. So that'll be my next adventure. I shall see you there. That'll be my last episode for the year. So I hope you enjoyed this.